Okay, so picture this. Your heart is this amazing machine, right? But it has these four delicate valves, and sometimes those valves malfunction,
Yeah.
and they cause blood to flow in the wrong direction.
Right.
That's valvular heart disease.
Yeah,
It's subtle, but it can have a really big impact, and millions of people live with it.
that's right.
And today we're going to go deep on it,
Absolutely.
understanding how those valves work, what can go wrong, and how doctors actually figure all this out.
It's fascinating stuff.
Right. And of course, huge thanks to London Heartbeat's Z Academy
Mm-hmm.
for giving us this awesome medical material.
They are a fantastic resource.
Be sure to check them out on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube for more dives into cardiology.
Really interesting stuff.
So let's jump in.
Yeah.
What's really amazing to me is how doctors can start with just the patient's symptoms, which can be super vague,
Mm-hmm.
and then work backward to figure out what's going on with the valves.
Yeah, it is. It's like they're translating a language, from I'm feeling tired all the time to, oh, maybe my aortic valve's leaking.
Exactly. It's like decoding a message.
What it is.
Now, one of the common complaints, of course, is shortness of breath, and that could be from a ton of things.
Right.
But when we're talking about valves, it often means there's a problem with blood flow.
Yes.
And if you have shortness of breath, especially at night, doctors often think about increased pressure in the pulmonary veins,
That's right.
which can point to a specific valve issue.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with a really common issue, mitral stenosis,
Okay.
a narrowing of that mitral valve.
Right.
What's actually going on in the heart when that happens?
So think of it this way. The mitral valve, it's like a doorway between two chambers. The left atrium, where blood comes in from the lungs,
Right.
and the left ventricle, which is the heart's main pumping chamber.
Okay.
And when that door narrows, it's harder for blood to get through, and that creates a pressure buildup
Oh, I see.
in the left atrium.
Okay.
And then that pressure backs up into the lungs, and that's what can cause that shortness of breath.
So it's like trying to squeeze through a crowded doorway. It's like everyone's trying to get through at once.
Exactly.
And this can lead to something called pulmonary hypertension.
Yes.
How are those two things connected?
It's like a chain reaction. There's this theory called the Jordan theory, and it basically explains how the pressure in those pulmonary veins triggers this whole domino effect.
Okay, walk me through it.
Okay, so first the pressure causes fluid to leak into your lung tissues.
Okay.
And then the walls of those tiny air sacs in your lungs, they start to thicken, which makes it harder to breathe.
Got it.
Your body senses this low oxygen,
Right.
and it tries to fix it by constricting the blood vessels in the lungs.
Oh, wow.
And it starts in the lower lobes and then spreads.
Okay.
And that ultimately leads to pulmonary hypertension.
So the body's actually making it worse.
It's kind of like the body's fix is actually making the problem worse.
That's amazing and scary how it can snowball.
It is.
So how do doctors even know if someone has mitral stenosis?
Well, it's not just about listening to the heartbeat. It's listening carefully,
Okay.
observation, and even some calculations.
Calculations, math for heart murmurs.
In a sense, so the first heart sound, we call it S1.
Okay.
It's louder in mitral stenosis because it takes more force to close that narrowed valve.
Oh, I see.
Then doctors use something called the Walls Index,
Okay.
which looks at the time between the electrical signal from your heart, that Q wave on an EKG, to that S1 sound,
Got it.
and then the time between the aortic valve closing and the mitral valve opening.
Wait, there's a sound when the mitral valve opens.
Yeah, there is. You get an opening snap when that restricted mitral valve finally opens.
Wow.
And the shorter the time between the aortic valve closing and that snap, the more severe the stenosis is.
Oh, so it's like the timing is everything.
Exactly. The Wells Index helps determine if that opening is dangerously restricted.
It's like a code.
Right. The timing of those sounds reveals the severity.
And what about the murmur itself?
Usually it's low-pitch rumbling. It's heard best at the apex of the heart, especially if you're lying on your left side.
Oh.
The longer the murmur, the tighter the stenosis.
So it's like the heart is whispering its secrets.
It is, and doctors have learned to listen.
But I read that the loudness of the murmur isn't always reliable.
True. It can be affected by other things like other heart conditions or even your body type.
Okay.
It's really about looking at all the factors. The patient's symptoms, the length of that murmur, the Wells Index, and if there's pulmonary hypertension.
So you're taking in the whole patient, the whole picture.
You've got it.
Okay, so let's stick with pulmonary hypertension for a sec.
Mm.
Are there specific signs that point to how severe it is?
Well, think about it. When pulmonary hypertension gets worse, the pressure in your heart increases, and that makes your valves work harder.
Okay.
So a prominent wave in your jugular venous pulse,
Right.
that's the pulse in your neck, can be a sign of severe pulmonary hypertension.
Wow.
Because the right atrium, one of the chambers in your heart, it has to work harder to push blood against that resistance.
So looking at the neck veins gives us clues about what's happening in the lungs.
Exactly. It reflects the pressure in the right side of the heart,
Okay.
which is directly affected by pulmonary hypertension. You might also see a palpable P2, that's the second heart sound associated with the closure of the pulmonary valve.
Right.
You can feel it as a vibration because it's closing with more force.
Yeah.
You can also have a palpable pulsation in the pulmonary artery itself, a very loud P2,
Right.
a distinct ejection click sound, and you can feel that the right ventricle is enlarged.
Okay.
And there can be a loud murmur associated with tricuspid regurgitation, which is a leaky tricuspid valve.
So many things to look at.
Yeah.
But how do you know if the tricuspid regurgitation is a direct result of mitral stenosis or if it's a whole separate thing?
That's a great question. You need to differentiate between two types, hypertensive and organic tricuspid regurgitation.
Okay, break those down for me.
So hypertensive tricuspid regurgitation, that's caused by that high pressure in the pulmonary circulation,
Right.
often as a result of mitral stenosis.
Okay.
It's a secondary issue caused by that primary valve problem.
Like-
Organic tricuspid regurgitation, on the other hand, that's due to a problem with the tricuspid valve itself,
Okay.
such as damage from things like rheumatic fever or endocarditis.
Right.
So to tell them apart, you have to think about the sound of the murmur and what's happening in those neck veins.
Okay.
Hypertensive tricuspid regurgitation usually has a murmur that lasts throughout the entire contraction phase of your heartbeat,
Okay.
and it's high-pitched.
Got it.
And the jugular venous pulse will show a rapid Y descent,
Right.
reflecting the ventricle quickly filling from the atrium,
Okay.
and you'll typically see that enlarged right ventricle.
Okay, so that's hypertensive. What about organic?
So the murmur might be shorter and not as loud. It's
Okay.
usually lower pitched.
Got it.
You might also see a slow Y descent in the jugular venous pulse, indicating tricuspid stenosis is also present.
Okay.
And if the right ventricle is enlarged, it may be more forceful, but without that longer duration you see in hypertensive TR.
Wow. So many subtle differences.
It is, but it helps doctors tell them apart.
Fascinating. Now, does mitral stenosis ever affect the left ventricle, even though the initial problem is with that mitral valve?
It can for a few reasons.
Okay.
So first imagine the left ventricle isn't getting its usual workout because there's less blood flow.
Right.
It adapts by becoming smaller and stiffer,
Oh, interesting.
which means the heart's not pumping as effectively.
So it shrinks because it's not getting enough blood.
Kind of, yeah. But it's not just that restricted blood flow.
Okay.
The rheumatic fever that often causes mitral stenosis can also cause inflammation and scarring of the heart muscle itself.
Oh, so the disease process itself can damage the muscle.
Exactly. Think of
Yeah.
it like this. The scarring and thickening from the mitral stenosis can actually restrict the movement of the heart muscle near that valve,
Okay.
reducing the left ventricle's ability to fill properly.
So it's like physically tugging on the muscle.
Precisely. And when mitral stenosis causes pulmonary hypertension, the right ventricle gets overloaded. And that can throw off the synchronized movement between the left and right ventricles, further impacting the left ventricle's function.
It's like it's all connected.
It is.
Then you have atrial fibrillation,
Right.
that irregular heart rhythm.
Exactly. And that can lead to a weakened heart muscle over time because of that rapid heart rate.
Okay.
So you can see there are many factors that can contribute to problems in the left ventricle with mitral stenosis.
The domino effect.
It is. The valve, the heart muscle, and the rhythm all play a role.
Now, mitral stenosis can also cause hemoptysis, which is coughing up blood.
Yeah.
What's the connection there?
It's usually because of that increased pressure in those pulmonary veins.
Okay.
Imagine those tiny blood vessels in your lungs rupturing because of that high pressure.
Oh, no.
That's what causes the bleeding.
Yeah.
It can range from blood-streaked sputum to more serious bleeding.
So the color and consistency of the sputum can kind of help you figure out what's going on.
Yeah, pink frothy sputum, that's a sign of pulmonary edema,
Right.
a severe buildup of fluid in the lungs.
Oh, yeah.
And that can happen in advanced heart failure.
Got it.
Bloodstained sputum is more common with that paroxysmal nocturnal dyspnea, that shortness of breath we talked about.
Right.
And you mentioned blood clots.
Yeah.
So blood clots forming in the heart, particularly in the right atrial appendage, are more likely in patients with mitral stenosis who also have congestive heart failure and atrial fibrillation.
Really?
And those clots can travel to the lungs, causing blockage and bleeding.
Oh, wow.
And then there's pulmonary apoplexy, which is a rare condition.
Okay.
Sudden and profuse bright red bleeding.
Oh, no.
It's scary, but thankfully rare.
So many issues can come from one valve problem.
It shows you why early diagnosis and treatment are so important.
Definitely. Now back to those heart sounds. We know a loud S1 is a clue in mitral stenosis,
Yeah.
but what else can influence how loud that is?
Well, think about the valve itself. A thicker or calcified valve tends to produce a louder S1.
Okay.
But the position of the leaflets also matters.
Right.
If they're widely separated at the time of closure, the sound will be softer. It's all about the timing.
So it's more nuanced than just the thickness.
It is a faster heart rate or a shorter PR interval on the electrocardiogram
Right.
that measures the electrical activity of your heart will generally make a louder S1.
Okay.
Also, a stronger contraction of the heart muscle will lead to a louder S1.
So many factors.
Are there situations where S1 is loud even without mitral stenosis?
I would think so.
Absolutely. For instance, conditions like sinus tachycardia,
Right.
where your heart beats really fast, or a short PR interval,
Oh, yeah.
which indicates a fast electrical pathway in your heart, can cause a louder S1.
Interesting.
Anything that increases blood flow across the mitral valve can cause this.
Right.
More blood moving through means a more forceful closure
Makes sense.
and a louder sound. Now, can S1 be soft even with mitral stenosis?
I would imagine so.
Yes. If the mitral valve is heavily calcified, it can become less mobile.
Right.
So the leaflets might be thick, but they don't snap shut forcefully. So you get a softer S1.
So thick doesn't always mean loud.
Exactly. Another reason is if there's also mitral regurgitation.
Right.
That leaking of blood back into the left atrium actually reduces the pressure difference across the valve when it closes.
Oh, I see.
Making S1 softer.
So the leaks takes the pressure off.
Precisely. And other valve issues can mask that loud S1 you'd expect with mitral stenosis, like aortic regurgitation,
Right.
where blood leaks back into the heart.
Okay.
Even the patient's anatomy can play a role.
Wow.
If the right ventricle is really enlarged, it can shift the heart's position,
Interesting.
muffling those sounds from the mitral valve.
It's like it gets in the way.
It does.
Yeah.
And of course, things like obesity or lung disease can muffle those heart sounds too.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's not just yes or no.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about that opening snap again. Can you explain a little more about what causes that sound and why it's so important in diagnosing mitral stenosis?
It's all about the pressure behind that valve. That moment when the mitral valve leaflets are fully stretched open into the left ventricle. That sudden tensing of those leaflets.
And the timing is key.
It is. The higher the pressure in the left atrium, the earlier that mitral valve opens closer to the second heart sound.
I see.
So a short A2OS interval.
Right.
The time between the aortic valve closing and the opening snap
Okay.
indicates a high left atrial pressure, meaning the stenosis is more severe.
It's like it's rushing to happen
That's a great way to picture it.
because the pressure behind it is so high.
Exactly. And doctors quantify this timing using the Wells index.
Okay.
It takes into account the time it takes for the electrical impulse to travel from the top to the bottom chambers of your heart,
I got it.
subtracting that A2OS interval.
So it's a formula that uses electrical and acoustic information.
Exactly. And research shows that a Wells index greater than 2 units
Okay.
means that mitral valve opening is dangerously restricted. It's a powerful tool for estimating the severity.
Listening carefully is so important.
It is. Now, we've talked about that rumbling mitral diastolic murmur.
Right.
Are there any nuances to that murmur that can help doctors tell it apart from murmurs caused by other conditions?
I'm sure there are.
There are. Location is key. It's best heard in the pulmonary area,
Okay.
the second intercostal space to the left of the sternum.
Got it.
And it's localized. It doesn't radiate widely.
Right.
That helps distinguish it from the murmur of aortic regurgitation,
Right.
which is often heard along the left sternal border and can radiate to the heart's apex.
Right.
You can also feel the mitral stenosis murmur as a vibration,
Oh, wow.
a thrill over the pulmonary area. That's not usually the case with aortic regurgitation.
So you're not just listening, you're feeling too.
Exactly. What else? The response to breathing is another clue.
Okay.
The split between the two components of the second heart sound A2 and P2 that widens when you breathe in with mitral stenosis.
Okay.
This doesn't typically happen with aortic regurgitation.
So the timing changes with breathing.
It does. And standing up doesn't change the mitral stenosis murmur much.
Okay.
Aortic regurgitation often becomes louder when you stand because more blood returns to the heart, increasing the volume leaking back through that valve.
So many subtle differences.
There are.
But even with all these clues,
Mhm.
I know that the intensity of the murmur doesn't always match the severity of the stenosis.
That's true. If your heart isn't pumping enough blood, like in severe heart failure, the murmur might be quieter because there's simply less blood to make the noise.
Okay.
Atrial fibrillation can also affect the intensity because that irregular rhythm reduces the pressure difference across the valve, leading to a softer murmur.
So it masks the severity.
Yeah, kind of. Other conditions like aortic stenosis or aortic regurgitation can influence the murmur as well.
Okay.
And extensively calcified valves might not vibrate as much, resulting in a softer murmur.
So a thick, stiff valve muffles the sound.
Exactly. What other clinical signs can point to severe mitral stenosis besides the murmur? Well, think about it. If the stenosis is severe, your body is going to be struggling, and that shows up in a few ways.
Right.
You'll have shortness of breath, fatigue, and fainting.
Okay.
A long, high-pitched mitral diastolic murmur
Right.
and a short A2OS interval are also strong indicators.
Got it.
And then there's severe pulmonary hypertension with its own constellation of signs.
So it's not just the heart, it's how the whole body is reacting.
Exactly. And you might even see a mitral facies.
Okay.
With flushed cheeks and bluish lips.
Wow.
In patients with long-standing untreated mitral stenosis.
Ugh.
It's the body trying to compensate for that reduced blood flow and oxygenation.
So even their appearance can offer clues.
It can. Now, mitral diastolic murmurs can be caused by things other than rheumatic mitral stenosis.
Right.
Anything obstructing blood flow into the left ventricle can create a similar sounding murmur.
So you need to figure out the obstruction, not just the sound.
Precisely. So a left atrial myxoma,
Okay.
which is a tumor where there's a membrane dividing the left atrium, can both cause a similar murmur.
Wow. So many things.
There are. And conditions that increase flow across the mitral valve can create a diastolic murmur even without an obstruction.
So it could be too much blood flowing through.
Exactly, like a rushing river creating rapids.
Interesting.
And in severe mitral regurgitation, where blood leaks back into the left atrium, you can get a similar murmur.
Okay.
Congenital heart defects can redirect extra blood through the mitral valve,
Right.
creating that murmur. Even a heart pumping faster and harder than usual can create a similar sound.
So many possibilities.
There are. It's not a simple diagnosis.
Right.
You need a thorough history,
Mhm.
a physical exam, and often further testing to figure out the cause.